Okay, in this Lightboard video, we want to talk about security assessment, okay? Security assessment and some security testing concepts. Now, here's a sample methodology. Is this the methodology for security assessment? No, and realize that there's different types of security assessment, right? We can be doing it for looking for vulnerabilities. We can be doing it for specific penetration testing against certain systems, applications, or architectures. We can be doing this for compliance testing. So this is just a sample of a 7-step process to assess security. Okay, and then we'll look at a little testing information here after that. So really the first step in any type of life cycle. So if you're writing a program, if you're putting an initiative for BYOD, bring your own device, or maybe some new social networking security AUP policy, doesn't matter what it is, the first thing you're going to do is information gathering. And we also call that reconnaissance. So we could also refer to this as recon, okay? The first phase of recon. Getting information about the systems that you're going to assess, okay? The operating systems, the applications, the versions, the patch levels, all those types of things, okay? You also want to know how the data flows on the underlying infrastructure. That's also important as well. And then you'll use tools that will fingerprint. And so fingerprinting can involve using TCP, it can use ICMP. Basically, you're going to use protocols and services that demand some type of action from the device to respond, like responding to a TCP scan. You're looking for a port is open, ICMP echo request, trace. You can fingerprint that way, and you can analyze the system based on the way it reacts, the way it behaves. So for example, does it send a TCP reply, a reset? Okay, does it drop it? How does it respond? What ICMP message is sent back? ICMP version 4 or ICMP version 6, right? Then you'll use a wide variety of tools. A lot of these come in exploit kits, okay, like Kali Linux, to run scanners, IP scanners, port scanners, identity scanners to look for certain files on the system, to look for user accounts. So you're going to scan and look for identity, okay? Try to figure out how many administrators and root users there are and look for different account names, things like that. And the stage 3 and stage 4 kind of work together. You can start out doing some manual, okay, kind of user-defined scanning and identity scanning, but you can also use some automated tools. And ongoing vulnerability assessment will use automated scanning tools, okay? So if you're doing compliance checking for, let's say, HIPAA or Sarbanes-Oxley or PCI DSS, on an ongoing basis, you will do automated scanning. You'll use those tools. Now, of course, at the Security Operations Center, or your security department, you need to realize the source address, okay, and the source hosts of the systems. If you're doing this yourself, okay, this is not an attack, okay, this is not some malicious user using these tools, even though a malicious user could use this same methodology. But let's just say we're assessing for compliance reasons or for auditing reasons. Well, we need to make sure we understand which hosts, IP addresses, and MAC addresses are the source of these fingerprinting and automated scanning, so we can filter them out on the firewall, IDS, IPS, and other systems. So we need to make sure we know what the benign tools are, and also have the ability to notice if an end user is using these tools in a malicious way, or they're just trying to learn to pass a CompTIA exam, so they're using their computer at work to run Kali Linux or Metasploit. Well, we want to know about that as well. Then, once we get through the information gathering and the fingerprinting and the scanning process, we've now got a ton of information. We can then exploit known vulnerabilities, right? And we can exploit known vulnerabilities as part of penetration testing or security assessment. Then, of course, we're going to deliver that report back to the C-suite or the C-team or whoever's in charge of this either transparent or this known audit or assessment. Then we're going to try to go beyond known vulnerabilities to issue attacks to find unknown vulnerabilities and unknown weaknesses. So we'll try to crack passwords. We'll try to brute force systems. We'll try to escalate or elevate our privileges to get administrative access or root access. And so we can try to move laterally or horizontally within the systems, or we can try to move vertically, okay, north-south, specifically north, trying to get up into the data center, for example. And we'll also do some denial of service testing, maybe introducing some bots, scripts into the environment that are going to be getting on some of our systems and then sending back some test responses to our own command and control servers that we've set up. So this is a kind of a common 7-step security assessment / penetration testing. I mean, once you get into the step 5, 6, and 7, you start to think about pen testing against specific systems. Security assessment is done on a regular basis, usually across the board. Penetration testing is more invasive, it's more expensive, and usually you start out with select systems and applications and specific areas. Now, another thing I want to talk about when we were talking about testing, I want to talk about white box testing versus black box testing. And there's one other kind here, but let's start out with white box testing and black box testing. With black box testing, which we'll do first, and let me just put it right here. With black box, BB, the person that's doing the assessment or the penetration test, they have almost no knowledge of the system. So they're kind of blindly going in and testing the system without any previous knowledge. They haven't talked to let's say it's a program that we have written in-house. Okay, it's a special custom application. So we brought in some security assessment, and they're going to do black box testing. We're not going to give them any information. We're just relying upon their expertise, their expert judgment, and their skill set to try to find vulnerabilities in this particular application. They have no previous known knowledge. That is black box testing, okay? And the results are going to be usually limited, okay, unless that person's just, a genius. So the other type is white box testing, WB. And with white box testing, we've given, this can be internal or external auditing, but we've given the auditor or the assessor, now they have knowledge, either because they were part of the development of the application or the system, or we have given that information to them as a tester. Now they'll come in with white box. I mean, they'll actually go through a process, of an iterative process of going, okay, we're doing that, we got that, we're going to go back. We're not going to go output yet. We're going to go back and iterate that, maybe against that step. So they're going to go through the actual life cycle of the application to test it with almost full knowledge, okay, of the system or the application or the architecture, we could call it that. So black box, no previous knowledge. White box, extensive knowledge, either because we were part of the development or because we're familiar for several reasons. Now, there is a somewhere in between that, okay, where we either give that auditor limited knowledge or just because of circumstances, the auditor just simply has limited knowledge. And that would be gray box, okay? So, it's a gray area, gray box testing, okay? So black box, zero knowledge, okay? White box, full knowledge. Gray box, some knowledge. And this can also tie into this security assessment. So our security assessment can be a black box, it can be a white box, it can be a gray box.